SPX6900 was one of the most scintillating performers of the 2024 and 2025 cycle, doing a mind-boggling more than 1000x, guys. Now, in the 2024 cycle, unlike in the 2021 and 2017 cycle, we didn't have so many of these major coins making 1000x. SPX6900 was among the very select few that have been around for a long time during the cycle, right, for like a year, and it was very possible, you know, if you bought from the bottoms, to do like 1000x from bottom to top, and more realistically, you know, to make something like still 100x, which is a fantastic return. Not many coins have done that. In this video, we're gonna discuss, does SPX6900 actually has a chance repeating doing something similar in the next bull run cycle of approximately 2027. We're gonna see when it's gonna happen. But for now, you know, the end of 2025 at the moment doesn't look very promising for the near future, all right? For like the beginning of 2026, at the moment, with how the crypto market looks like, it doesn't look very promising for now. So taking the assumption that we are gonna have some bear market, whether it's already started since October, or whether it's still gonna start, I don't know, in a month, 2 months, or something like that from now, we are likely to have a bear market during 2026, meaning many of these coins are probably gonna be super duper undervalued, and likely SPX is gonna be among them. So I could show you that in the last bear market, right, or just in the history of my channel here, okay, we basically, like I mentioned, we had not that many major performers in 2024, but let's say the main three were SPX6900, and then we also made videos about BONK, all right? My first ever video about BONK was when BONK was only 84 million market cap. All right, here back in, you know, January 2023, a little bit after BONK only was created. So just to show you the chart, this was made here, right, January 8, 2023, when the market cap was, you know, kind of falling down from a mini peak we had at the time, but, you know, around 80 to 60 million market cap. It actually kept going lower to around, you know, 8 to 10 million market cap, and eventually it hit a high of approximately 4 billion market cap, right? So from the moment I made the first video about BONK, BONK made another 50x from the time I made the video, right? It made even more than that from the lows, but from the time I made the video, it made a 50x. And another video, kind of a lot more bullish, much more bullish times in January 2024. I had one more video about Dog with Hat, claiming that basically this is gonna be the prince of the crypto bull run, when BONK was kind of the king, at least at the time, especially in early 2024. Dog with Hat, indeed, you can see in the chart here, it kind of was looking already pretty bullish back then, but eventually, if you've guys seen, you know, this is what we saw after. So January 2024 was around here, you know, at 36 cents, and eventually we had another major leg up in Dog with Hat for another 10x, right? So last bull run, okay, I was making videos about basically some of the most major meme coins before they made their move. So this time with SPX, you know, I'm starting a little bit early because, you know, we're still not in a fully defined bear market yet. But like I said, based on a few things that we're gonna discuss here, I think SPX6900 will have a fantastic opportunity to potentially be, you know, the next BONK, right? The next BONK of the next cycle, or one of the most major coins. Now, we have to remember something really important, at least in this cycle, right? So SPX6900, BONK, and Dog with Hat, all of them were coins that were born in this cycle, right? By the way, Pepe, we should definitely mention Pepe too, right? So all of these coins, SPX6900 was born in 2023. BONK was born in early 2023, or I think very like, you know, December 2022. Dog with Hat was born in late 2023. And Pepe was born also, you know, kind of in the middle, you know, spring 2023. So all of these major coins that had, you know, fantastic success. Pepe also here had basically, you know, like a also close to a 50x, which was, and you know, it was also great returns for BONK, for Pepe, right? So all of these four, they were born in this crypto bull market cycle, right? Especially in the early parts in 2023. I guess 2023 was the best year to really launch a coin, to really have major upside still. We have to be, of course, very cognizant and aware that in the next cycle, personally, I'm pretty sure meme coins will come back with a bang once again, and I'm sure meme coins are gonna, you know, have their times again and again in the future as well. But an important thing is that all of these coins were new coins, right? So you're definitely very welcome to subscribe to the channel, because I'm mostly active in the bear markets when the opportunity is the best, you know. Most of my videos when I was active were in 2022 and 2023 and the early parts of 2024. So we have to be cognizant that likely even better performance next cycle are probably gonna be new coins that are gonna be born, you know, in 2026, 2027, something like that. Similarly to what SPX, Pepe, BONK, and Dog with Hat were in this cycle. But that being said, you know, just like Solana, for example, right? So it's not like it's impossible to have successful coins in a, you know, multi-year cycle, right? So Solana was super successful in its first cycle. Let's say this is the equivalent for SPX6900, which was born this cycle. And then again, Solana was still very capable of doing another 30-40x once again in the next cycle. Then, you know, BNB was also a big one, right? But BNB also had a major first cycle, then another, you know, still second cycle was even more higher all-time high than the previous one. You know, another coin that I was making quite a lot of video about, you know, also in 2023 would be Render, right? So, well, we don't see all of the history here, but it also had a really successful first cycle, I think around 100x or even more than that. And then the second cycle was also not too bad at all, also something like 30-something x, similar to Solana. So, we have to be aware, right? So, of course, it will depend how low SPX6900 will go in the bear market. Yeah, but that said, I think, you know, especially with kind of the Murad aura, and another thing that I'm gonna get into also kind of to show you here about SPX6900, I think, you know, among kind of all of the coins that you see here, I guess in the top, you know, so that would be something like the top 10 of the current meme coins. Yeah, maybe Fartcoin also, I think, if it will kind of survive, I think it can also has decent chances of, you know, being very successful in the next cycle too. But anyway, I think when I look here at the top 10 approximately, right from Dogecoin all the way to Floki, in my opinion, next cycle, SPX6900 will have the best chances among all of these to potentially have the best upside, all right, from the lows to the next highs. Why? Well, a few reasons, right? I guess two key reasons, and you know, we're gonna explain a little bit more soon. But the key reasons is, first of all, you know, it's the market cap is slightly, you know, is lower than especially Dogecoin and Shiba, right? But even if we compare to Pepe, you know, Pepe is like 5x in market cap higher than SPX. Pump.fun, you know, like it's not exactly a meme coin, so I guess we'll skip it. But you know, Trump is 3x, almost 3x higher. BONK is, you know, something like a 2x higher, almost 2x. And even Pudgy Penguins is still higher than SPX6900, even though SPX6900 arguably has the most vibrant community, right? So if you actually ask me, I think there's a little bit of a market mechanics, similarly to what happened with Solana last bear market, that, you know, it was kind of, it had special conditions with the FTX kind of correlation, that Solana was way oversold in the bear market, and this is why it had like much higher upside than other coins like BNB. You know, BNB made a new all-time high, Solana made a slightly higher all-time high, but, you know, basically it was the same all-time high as the last one in 2021. So BNB made a higher all-time high, but Solana had much bigger gains because it collapsed so much heavier in the bear market. So the special conditions that SPX6900 I think have is that it was kind of a late runner in the bull market, right? It was kind of, it had an amazing run here, 100x, but like in late 2024, whilst you know, all of these other ones, you know, BONK, its major run was like in late 2023. Pepe also had a like early 2024, then another kind of decent run, you know, late 2024. And Dogwoof had also its major, like, you know, the major meme coin runs basically occurred in early 2024. Then SPX and also Fartcoin, because they were, you know, their major runs occurred later, in late 2024. I think they sort of had less time to establish themselves, and because they had such a massive, like 100x run, they did have to kind of give more gains back relative, you know, to BONK, Pepe, and all of these other ones that they had like a lot more time to establish at the higher levels. So if that makes sense, SPX6900 is basically what I'm saying here is that SPX6900 is like has more vibrant community, and it has kind of this Murad aura, which could help a lot as long as, you know, Murad stays bullish on SPX. And, you know, it does have this kind of mission, right? It has this, like Murad is talking about it, you know, it does have this mission to try and kind of be the meme coin of the original SPX, right? And to try and like have this really high ceiling. And it's also, even though it's like on the Ethereum chain, it's not necessarily kind of so attached to Ethereum specifically. While BONK is attached to Solana chain, Pudgy Penguins is attached kind of to the abstract layer 2 ecosystem. Pepe is a little bit more also attached to Ethereum chain. So anyway, right now, what I'm saying here is that SPX6900, I think, has chances to surpass in the future, like have a higher market cap than you know, Pepe at least, or, you know, maybe reach the same market cap as Pepe. But it's 5x undervalued right now against Pepe. Now, in reality, it also should be able to even, you know, surpass these ones. But, you know, these ones are also, like I mentioned, the history kind of thing. Like, they've been around for so long and they're kind of so established. So at the moment, like, I know in the past people were saying, predicting SPX should surpass it. But, you know, I don't want to get way too degen, way too ahead of myself. So let's just, you know, be still realistic, especially at least, you know, one cycle ahead. Like, you know, if meme coins are going to be a thing here like 10 years from now as well, maybe in the future SPX can even be here, you know, in the same market caps as Dogecoin and Shiba in the far future. But, you know, one cycle, looking only one cycle ahead now, I don't want to focus on this one right now, on these two right now. So I want to focus on Pepe, what Pepe is right now, and also what was the all-time high for Pepe, right? Which in terms of market cap, right? So I have it here. It was 10 billion. You know, that's also not too bad, considering SPX right now is 20x less. So, yeah, like we said, it's relatively undervalued because it's newer than all of these. It's a lot newer than this, and it's still newer than all of these 2023 runners, right, or early 2024 runners. But it has the community and the aura. Now, another last, I guess, thing that I want to mention, what I liked really quite a lot about SPX6900, and like I said, why, for me, I'm gonna make a future video about Fartcoin probably too, but why for me right now SPX and Fartcoin in all of this category are by far the most interesting ones in the meme coin category. In the existing one, of course, we're gonna be having future ones that could, you know, make again these kind of 100 and 1000x returns in one cycle. But that said, what's the last kind of technical thing that I liked here quite a lot? One of the last things that I liked is that, look guys, like if you've seen, so we have to kind of, I guess, add some context here, right? So like we know, Bitcoin kept making new all-time highs here, right? Like December, January, then, you know, May, July, and again October, you know, like it was every single time it was a slightly higher all-time high, but it kept doing new all-time highs. And many other coins didn't really, like Ethereum barely finally made some higher all-time high than 2021, also here in August. But, you know, Solana still didn't make a new all-time high since January 2025. And, you know, especially if we compare kind of apples to apples, if we compare SPX to, like we mentioned, let's compare it, for example, with BONK. right? So BONK had an all-time high in November 2024. Then July 2025 was a lower high. Pepe, similar situation, all-time high in December, lower high right now in May and July. Dog with Hat, I think the all-time high was even back in April 2024. This was I guess more like a double top here. So basically the original all-time high was all the way back here, and actually, you know, this is a lot more bearish. This chart is a lot more bearish than SPX for Dog with Hat. Even though, again, I like this coin a lot, you know, when it was still super bullish and there was a great opportunity here. So yeah, so like you can see, this is the situation with the competition, right? With SPX 6900's competition. By the way, Fartcoin that also had a major run, like SPX 6900, you know, basically here 100x since its inception, right, to the highs. Even Fartcoin, right, had a decent kind of pump, you know, from kind of the bottom, right, like that was a multiple, you know, like 6x, that was not bad at all, but it is still a lower high from the all-time high in January, December. So SPX is the only one among these that, you know, had a fantastic run to October, and then, you know, like the all-time high in December. But SPX 6900, like I said, is the only one that has been able to make a higher all-time high in July 2025. Like I've shown, all of these other ones were not able to do that. So SPX still basically had a lot more underlying strength than all these other ones, right? And even in 2025, which was kind of relatively lackluster year for, like, relative to 2024, right? Still, from the bottom of the wick, you know, it was, I think, a 10x or at least close to a 10x by SPX. And Fartcoin, like we said, did, you know, not that bad, also pretty good, 7x. And then all of these other ones made a lot less. Like BONK, I doubt if it did, well, I mean, yeah, it did like a 3-4x, also not that bad. Pepe, how much did it do? 2-3x, you know, but still, like, not anywhere close to SPX 6900 that made a higher all-time high and made almost 10x, right? And basically from the low of 2025 to the high, to the next high of 2025. So these are the main three reasons, okay? First of all, is that SPX 6900 has a lower market cap than BONK, than Pepe, than Pudgy Penguins, and yeah, if we want to be super bullish long term, than Shiba Inu. It has a much lower market cap. It has a stronger community these days than BONK and Pepe. So it is definitely undervalued in my opinion relative to these. And like also the price, right? This is, like I always say, the most important two things that we can follow are the price and the on-chain, right? To see kind of behind the scenes what's going on. But the price is number one, and then the on-chain activity is number two. And the price tells us that SPX is the best among of all of these during especially the last, basically this year, 2025. So for all of these reasons, I expect SPX to outperform all of these. Maybe Fartcoin. I'm gonna make one more video about Fartcoin. We're gonna analyze it separately. But right now, these are the two main meme coins I'm focusing on for the next cycle. And yeah, guys, like lastly, what is SPX gonna be capable of in terms of how much upside will it have in the future? It's a little bit hard to say. I think it should be able to outperform what Solana and Render did in this last cycle, which was around the 30x. I think this could be, like a more decent possibility. Like, for example, we have here these channels, right? So this is a parallel channel to these two. And recently, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, right? That recently, since July 2025, SPX 6900 was really bearish, had a lot of downside here. And it lost this quite important channel, right? Like this channel held a support in the past. We made a 10x. We lost this channel. So the next channel is over here. So of course it depends when SPX will get here. I will expect it to have a decent bounce. It could get here maybe like here, let's say like around 40 cents. and it could kind of coincide with the lows on the weekly chart here. But on the more on a more bearish case, it could reach again maybe a new double bottom with the bottom it had here at around 25 cents. Like that will be if it reaches, you know, this sooner, or if it will have a wick below this channel. Now, once it does reach this channel, I think there's gonna be a decent short-term opportunity for a trade, because it will likely break this downtrend that it has here. You know, like normally when you have like a macro channels like that on the weekly time frame that, you know, go back to so many years back, in terms of crypto 2 years is a lot, you know, so many years back. So, you know, it should have a decent bounce here at least, probably at least a 2x. But, you know, of course, we cannot know if this is going to be the, you know, the bottom of the bear market, right? So, of course, it could collapse a lot more. Now, Solana, for example, did go like 95% down in the last bull run. I think it could be quite reasonable. Interestingly, you can see that it's actually, if it does go back, if SPX will go down 95 to 96% down in the bear market from the last all-time high, it would mean that it's gonna reach like around 8 cents. Interestingly, Solana reached $8, you know, at its low of the bear market. Again, this is like, at this point, it's only guessing, right? Because, it's hard to guess right now. Obviously, I'm gonna make new videos once we're gonna see some kind of signs of recovery, some, you know, some bear market ending signals, right? It's still, there's a lot of time, you know, to see that. At the moment, I can guess that at least we're gonna have a decent short-term opportunity once it's gonna reach this channel. Likely it's gonna bounce, but then of course if the bear market is gonna continue all the way to, you know, the end of 2026, just like all the previous bear markets, you know, like SPX will be very, very unlikely to keep holding this channel. Then we may need to create maybe even a new channel. I don't know, like it feels not super relevant right now. Again, like I'm gonna delete it, you know, it's not helpful right now. But bottom line, you know, it's likely to reach kind of this region sometime not too long from now, between 25 cents to 40 cents, which was the previous bottom. But then if we're like in a full-on bear market, which I think, by the way, for Bitcoin, I don't think it's gonna be as bad as all of the last bear markets. For altcoins, it's still probably gonna be bad. But that being said, like I said, I think this kind of region here is likely to reach. Then reaching, you know, something, I guess, you know, 10 cents is a more round number. So I guess between 9, 8 to 10 cents. I think this could be like, if we will have a major bear market, I think this could be reasonable, you know, reasonable target more or less. But then kind of in the worst case scenario, which I personally don't think this is gonna happen, and I'm definitely not gonna wait for that. But in the worst case scenario, sometimes in bear markets we revisit kind of major highs from the past. So that will correspond to like 99, 98% down, and all the way back to 2 to 3 cents. Now I want to mention, I think it's not impossible, you know, everything's possible in markets, but I think it's like very low likelihood. I don't really think it's gonna happen. Similarly, by the way, with Solana, which again, I was watching it like a hawk last bear market and everything, because again, it was fantastic opportunity. So in the last bear market, I remember that we had this high from the middle of 2020, which is kind of similar to the middle of 2023 for SPX possibly, right? Also like August 2020 Solana, August 2023 SPX. I was watching this level here at $4 or $5, and you know, like in theory, especially when, you know, everything was so bearish, you know, in theory it looked possible. Now it would also correspond to 98 to 99% down for Solana, which is a major coin, right? So eventually, of course, we've never reached this level, and had I been waiting for this price forever, it won't be wise, because probably you know, Solana is not gonna reach this level ever again. So similarly with SPX, like it is possible, but I'm just not really gonna wait for it. Yeah, I think this will be like similar to $4 or $5 of Solana. Like, I don't know, in a super horrible bear market, maybe it can reach there, but I'm just not gonna wait for that. So more realistically, if it's gonna repeat a Solana here, like in the next bear market, so SPX could reach this kind of 8 to 10 cents region, which for me personally, it will be an area of a very high interest if we're gonna reach this level. But before that, again, like even this is super far away, we'll have to see kind of what's gonna happen here. Like SPX, once it's gonna be back to these regions here, 40 to 25 cents, which I think are high likelihood. We'll have to see what's happening, like how strong is the bounce. Like another possibility, which could be very strong for SPX, it could actually maybe keep holding these lows in the bear market, or maybe go only slightly lower, and maybe like in the bear market, maybe there's gonna be some massive reaccumulation between like 20 cents to $2. That's also a very bullish possible outcome too, which I don't think it's that likely too, given the kind of the downtrend we've had so far, and considering like if we are entering a bear market here, considering that Bitcoin is still like at 100 to 99k, like I don't think the next bear market is going to be as bad for Bitcoin as the previous ones. But I mean, if the bear market already started here from the high of 126,000, there's more downside here for Bitcoin from 99k. Like I would say at the very least, if the bear market started, I think Bitcoin is gonna at least retest the last all-time highs of between 64 to 69,000. I think at the very least it's gonna reach these levels. So imagine, if Bitcoin gets to these prices, the rest of the altcoins are gonna be absolutely obliterated. So it's just hard for me to see SPX holding the lows from here. Even though, I mean, in April 2025, Bitcoin reached, this region of 70 something K. So, we'll wait and see. At the moment it's guesstimating, right? We're gonna wait and see. But bottom line, I think two major areas of bottom interest for SPX are gonna be 25 cents to 25 to 30 cents region, and then 8 to 10 cent region. This is gonna be, if we're gonna reach these levels, I think it's gonna be absolutely major opportunity for SPX. And yeah, guys, like I said, you're very welcome to subscribe, to like this video so that more people see it. And yeah, join me in the new journey for the next bear market. I'm gonna be making videos a lot more frequently now, that everything's turning a lot more bearish the way I like it, because this is where the opportunities are coming. So yeah, guys, subscribe to the channel. We're gonna watch for SPX6900. I'm gonna make some future videos about it too, to keep watching what's kind of happening with it. Similarly with Fartcoin, I'm gonna make sometime a video about Fartcoin too, because I think this is another major meme coin that will have good potential, like XPX, to be really successful among kind of these. And lastly, we're gonna have new meme coins or new altcoins that are gonna be born in 2027 probably, like all of these ones were born in 2023, so they are gonna be also massively important. So yeah, guys, thank you guys for being here once again. Have a fantastic week and a fantastic weekend ahead, and cheers as always.